Welcome to Blissfully Aging. I'm your host, Kris Stewart of Advanced Home Care Solutions. I'll be hosting this 7-episode mini-series in which we'll be visiting with older adults who are living life to the fullest. We'll be exploring the ways that these folks are engaged in these diverse pursuits and finding out what keeps them involved. We'll be talking with seniors who are healers, swimmers, runners, entrepreneurs, performers, and artists. The purpose of this mini-series is to show others that it's never too late to take up activities. We'll see how they've moved away from the stereotypes generally associated with growing older. These folks know that staying active and engaged is one of the many keys to longevity. So let's visit with them and see what inspiring adventures they have to share with us. Welcome to Blissfully Aging's Natural Healing episode. Today we're going to visit with 2 guests who are enthusiastically involved in natural healing arts. As older adults, they love what they do and can't imagine quitting anytime soon. Our first guest is Diane Wiebe. She works out of the Natural Care Center in Kelowna. She's practiced healing arts for 3 decades. She keeps passionate about her art. She's enthusiastic because of the satisfaction she gets from helping her clients regain their health. She's a lifelong learner, taking courses all the time. She practices massage, kinesiology, herbalism, iridology, quantum touch, and many other modalities. She helps her clients to break through barriers, radically improving their lives. Our second guest is Ross Short. He's the owner and founder of BodyWise. His company is dedicated to creating better health for clients. Ross's favorite saying is, if you have an issue, it's in the tissue. Ross integrates deep tissue body work, movement education, and light touch energy work, which releases tension and realigns the body. He combines Heller work, Pilates, Reiki, and other modalities. Ross's interest in this began when he had a serious orthopedic injury which sidelined his professional sports and law enforcement career over 20 years ago. Let's visit with these folks and see what keeps them so enthusiastic. So today we're sitting here with Diane Wiebe. She's a natural healer and works out of the Okanagan Natural Care Clinic. Is that the right name?
Okanagan Natural Care Center.
Okanagan Natural Care Center. Now, Diane has been involved in natural healing for a long time, and she has many wonderful modalities that she uses to care for her clients. So Diane, tell me a little bit about the work that you do there.
Well, I have studying for 38 years, I have a lot of tools in my box that I can pull out whenever I decide I need to use something different.
I bet you do.
So I handcraft a session, not only for each person that comes in, but each time a person comes in, we have the option of doing something different or working with a different modality that will help to speed things up.
Okay. So what are the names of some of these modalities?
I started off with reflexology.
Okay.
I've studied with pretty much every reflexology author out there from all over the world. And then I went on to kinesiology, which is biofeedback from the muscle.
I was going to ask you, right.
Yeah.
I don't think we know a lot about kinesiology, not the average person anyways.
Well, kinesiology means movement of muscle.
Okay.
What we do is specialized kinesiology, so it gives us a biofeedback of information that the body has stored to tell us how we can proceed.
Oh, interesting. And so what else besides these two?
Well, I've studied a lot of different things, many branches on the kinesiology tree, including body talk. That's one of the more recent ones. Yuan, access consciousness. I'm a master herbalist. I do iridology.
Oh,
So those are the things that I use pretty frequently.
okay. So what prompted you to first get involved in this kind of practice?
My father.
Your father? Tell me about that.
Well, back when my father started, there was nobody to do work with him. So he would encourage me, and he would plop in that chair, and I would sit in front of his feet, and I said, well, I don't know how to do it. And he would say, well, I'll tell you how.
Oh,
But, I mean, that's not how I learned my trade. I had to go to school and do all the things and have all the certificates as well.
right.
So he encouraged me.
Isn't that wonderful? So how long do you think you'll continue to practice? It sounds very rewarding.
I haven't determined that yet. I'm pretty happy doing what I do, and I love coming to work. I love helping people. I think it's been a gift to me that I can help people. So I go home at the end of the day knowing that I have helped someone change their life.
I was just going to ask you what you get out of your practice, and it sounds like you just answered the question. Besides that, what other things keep you passionate about the work that you do, besides helping people recover?
Well, I like to study. So every time I go and study some more, and I have courses booked into January and February again. And have studied a fair bit already this year. So instead of making it theory, I get to put it into practice.
Oh, wow, that's remarkable. That sounds great. So where do you think you'll head with this? Any other new modalities you want to learn? Any particular way you want to shape your practice in a different way than it is now?
I'm pretty content with the way things are moving right now. And it's learning to blend it and make it my own. And then I suppose I might be guided to do something different or add more in. But at this moment, I'm with studying access consciousness, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
You know, you're really a shining example of an older adult who's still remaining actively involved in something that you're so passionate about. And for you, you've studied this your entire life. So what would you say to other older adults who are considering giving up their pursuit that they're passionate about? What kind of advice would you have for them?
If they were giving up their pursuit?
Giving it up or wondering if they should stay involved with it. Any particular words of advice?
I'm not sure that people give up the pursuit that they're passionate about. It's what they're not passionate about. So it's actually, to me, it would be take up your passion. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If studying music or taking an art class would be what would thrill you.
So are these courses that you've taken, and there are many, I know that, but could an older person start now in their older stage of life to take some of these courses that you've taken? Is that a possibility?
It is.
It is?
Yes.
What kind of advice do you have for someone who's interested in that?
Sign up now.
So where
Get
would they
started.
Where would they do that?
Well, I think it depends on what they want to do. So look into, first of all, try a few things. Find out what it is that you like to experience.
Okay.
I think it would be, not that education is ever a waste of time, but why take a course that when you finish the course you're not really all that interested in? Like when you realize when you do reflexology, you actually work on people's feet.
Right.
So if you're not comfortable being around feet or having your own feet done,
Maybe that's not the right
Maybe that's
modality.
not the right one. Maybe.
Right.
And you know, you can learn a lot even just reading books.
Okay.
You can study nutrition. The study of nutrition is a lot of book reading, a lot of book learning.
It is. Yeah, that's right.
And herbalism, lots and lots of book reading.
So if a senior or any person wanted to experience the modalities that you offer, they can go to you as an example of a practitioner, or I'm sure there are other practitioners in Kelowna, and then they can see exactly what kind of work is done during these, and maybe that will help guide them into deciding which course to take. Does that sound like an idea?
I think it's fantastic. And they can go onto the website of that particular course, that modality,
Right.
which should give them an indicator where there might be an instructor.
That's a great idea. You know, I have to say I'm looking forward a lot to coming into your practice center and having our crew film you providing one of your modalities to one of the staff that work in your office. So I'm not sure what you're going to surprise us with, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I really admire the fact that you've stayed so true to your art and so passionate about what you do because of the joy it brings you in helping others. I'm in the helping industry too, which I get a lot out of. So I feel like you're a girl after my own heart, but I really do admire you for sticking with it and just continuing to offer the great services that you do offer to folks in the central Okanagan and other areas. So thank you so much for visiting with us today, and I look forward to seeing you soon in your clinic.
Okay, thank you very much, and I welcome you to come for the visit.
Thanks. See you soon.
Reflexology is a natural healing art based on the principle that there are reflexes in the hands, feet, and ears relative to every organ, part, and gland of the body. Through application of pressure on the reflexes, which is an on and off, you can see my thumb is working an alternating pressure. So through the application of pressure, it helps to relieve tension. Most people have some of that.
Okay.
Relieve tension, improve circulation. That doesn't mean that you have more blood flow, but the fluids in the body get to where they belong to. And help the body to work in its normal function. So whether, for example, when we think of things like high blood pressure, that's high. We're looking always to stay, the body is always looking to stabilize that. So that's what's happening with the reflexology, is it's not going to make it extremely low. I think we could think about blood sugar more with that. It's not going to take the high blood sugar really low, nor the low blood sugar high. It's always looking for the balance line.
So reflexology helps with that.
Yes.
Oh, I never knew that.
So there are many things. It doesn't matter what it is, really. We don't diagnose, and we don't treat for any specific condition, but certainly people will find improvement with things as their overall body health comes up when we're working on getting everything coordinated with the body.
So reflexology isn't just a foot treatment, it's actually a body treatment.
It is. It's not a foot massage at all. It's quite different from massage, and you can feel it when I'm working with my thumb and with my fingers. It is quite different from massage, which is more to do with relaxation.
Right.
It is actually stimulating all of those reflexes.
Okay.
And we have 7,200 nerve endings on the bottom of each foot.
Is that all?
And when they're disconnected from the brain, sometimes, and they do, you know, some of our feet are numb, or they really don't have people don't have a lot of sensation in their feet. So that when we start working on the feet, the nerves actually seem to come back to life again. And some people will even report, for example, if the numbness goes to here, as they have multiple sessions, that they feel the response moving down their leg, so they get more and more response. So people will say, well, I used to feel like my feet were numb like boards, or felt like boards, and I was walking on boards, and now when they have a response again, they'll joke and say they had to learn to walk again. But I mean, it just comes very naturally.
Well, you know, that brings something to mind, a condition called diabetic neuropathy. You've heard of that, I'm sure, where diabetics who have long-standing high blood sugar end up with kind of numb nerves in their feet and maybe sometimes their fingertips.
Yes.
So is there any role for reflexology with diabetic neuropathy?
Certainly.
Really?
And
actually
of course,
help with it?
reflexology helps to normalize the body to its potential.
Okay.
We recognize that certain things have affected the body. You may have had a virus in your pancreas and it only has a certain limited ability.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that we are out curing anything.
Mhm.
We're just helping the body find its potential again.
Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
But certainly people with diabetic neuropathy oftentimes find relief from that. It's not just numb, it's burny, it's achy. You can't stand on those feet for long periods of time. And that is oftentimes relieved.
Some people I know have plantar fasciitis,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell me it's a very painful foot condition. So does reflexology do anything with that?
Well, it's not just the reflexology, because for 38 years I've been studying and I've got lots of tools in my box. So I might do something else that would help with that plantar tendon.
Okay. Wow. Well, what you're doing feels very good.
And oftentimes people will comment after they've had their feet done, they go home that night and they say they sleep like they haven't slept for a while.
Really?
Yes, you just go into a deeper sleep, your
Okay.
body just unwinds a little bit more.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that reflexology was so helpful for so many things. So what about other body systems? Does it help other body systems equalize?
It helps all of the body systems because we're working on the whole body.
Okay.
So it's working again. We talked about the nervous system, all the systems of the body. It doesn't matter if it's digestion, or right now we're working through what would be considered to be your chest area. So we would be connecting with things like your lung reflexes. These are reflexes we're working on, and the associated parts in this part of your body.
Wow.
So we have the harder part of the foot here is associated with the harder part of the body, and the softer part of the foot here is with the softer part of the body, and then we have the hard part again is associated with the hips. So, and we start from the head and we work our way down.
Oh,
So
so
when we're
you're
doing the
starting at the
toes,
tops. That's
we
the
were
head.
yes,
Now I see. There's a method here.
yes.
Hi there. We're here today visiting with Ross Short. Ross, can you tell me about your company called BodyWise? What is it that you do?
I work with people's myofascial system. I lengthen tissue and I reposture them.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty fascinating. How on earth do you do that?
Well, I work with my hands, my elbows, my forearms, my knuckles. I work with the fascial matrix of the body, and I go into that tissue with the intent of normalizing.
Oh,
And what it does is it actually decompresses the body.
okay.
So most elderly folk, of which I'm in that category, we get compressed, and we get compressed from the postural pattern that we present to the world every day. And it's a makeup of literally all the life experiences we had.
Wow.
It's in the tissue. So my line is, if you have an issue, it's in the tissue.
Okay. Well, that's pretty memorable. So how long have you been doing this kind of natural healing?
I started in '95. I was a member of the RCMP for 20 some years, and I didn't think anybody could be in more pain than I was in.
Oh,
And Western medicine did a plethora of tests on me and said, Ross, all the tests are coming back negative. So we don't know where this debilitating pain of yours is coming from. It's all in your head.
oh,
So if you don't take the Tylenol 3 with codeine that we're prescribing, we really can't help you. A colleague of mine, fellow member, had been in 2 major motor vehicle accidents, and he said, Short man, why don't you go to the Victoria Pain Clinic? It really helped me a lot with dealing with my motor vehicle accidents and my pain. So I got authorization to do that. Off I went. And I met a fellow that basically changed my life, Dr. Michael Greenwood.
really? What did he do?
Well, Michael, trained in Cambridge, has written 5 books on chronic pain and will never be published in a recognized medical journal, simply because he wants to get you off pharmaceuticals
Oh, okay.
and understand where your pain, where your discomfort is coming from. And through series of movement and alternative modalities and so on and so forth, He takes pain away. It was a 10-day live-in program, and you're exposed to a smorgasbord of different alternative modalities, and they write a report back to your employer at the end as to what you should do to manage your pain. So you experience all these different modalities, and my body best responded to this deep tissue myofascial work that I do.
Oh, okay.
And within 10 minutes of the fellow having his hands on me when we began, I could feel my pain leaving my body. And I went,
gosh.
wow, this is neat stuff.
Okay.
It was quite unique because he had been a military policeman and left the military, went onto the oil rigs and fell off a rig, and he had to be retrained. And he chose this type of work because it worked for him.
So did you take some courses to learn how to do this then?
Oh yes.
Okay.
The actual course I took was a 1.5 years long, called Heller work, which is an offshoot of the Rolfing recipe.
Now that's something I've never heard of.
Well,
And what is Rolfing exactly?
Rolfing was designed by Dr. Ida Rolf, and it was designed for infants that had trouble in the birth canal. And she would work the tissue to allow the infant to be as flexible as possible. And it worked so well with them, it just carried on into the adult community. She originally called her work structural integration, but her students coined the phrase Rolfing.
So how old were you when you started to take these modalities?
I was 41.
41. So you took them for a year or two, you learned how to do them, and then you started to practice this. And can I ask how old you are today?
I'm 60.
You're 60, okay. So what keeps you engaged and passionate about continuing to do this kind of work for your clients? What makes you wake up in the morning every day and be absolutely thrilled to work on your clients? What is that? What's going on?
I can remember how much pain I was in, and I know I'm not in any pain now at all. And I'm a former athlete. There's a lot of folks that are my age and older that have been athletic in the past as well, and there's hope for them. We don't have to be in the lazy boy. We can be out moving, and we can be moving in a range of motion that we can be younger for longer. We don't have to have a sedentary life.
So how long do you think you'll continue to do this kind of work for your clients? Is there a
another
time?
20?
Another 20
20
years.
anyway.
Okay, well that's great. So, our series is for folks who maybe are considering picking up an activity or a hobby or learning about something new. So because here you are, you're just a young'un, you're just age 60, and you're continuing on and you feel like you're going to continue with this for many, many more years. What would you say to people who aren't as active as perhaps you are, who are thinking of taking up an activity? What kind of motivational tips can you give them to take up something that they maybe had done before, or they might be thinking about taking up for the first time? What kind of advice can you give them?
The only thing that's really holding them back is themselves.
Okay.
We get so confirmed in our minds that, okay, I'm 70, I'm 75, I'm 80, that I can't do it anymore. Those are words. Age are numbers. Motion is lotion. If we move, it's amazing what we can do. I saw an email recently, a gal, she's 91 years old, she's still barrel racing.
Oh my gosh.
It's at 91.
Isn't that something?
So, if you think you're old, well, you are.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you're only as old as you think you are, and the trick to staying youthful is to get out there and be engaged in doing something. I mean, you've got a lot of years of work ahead of you, but I'm so happy to see that you're very passionate about your art, and obviously you've helped a great number of people. So how wonderful is that? Do you have any words to part with that would help someone who's not quite as active to get up off the couch and do something interesting?
I was on that couch. I was in that lazy boy because I'd had my 11th knee surgery was a knee replacement.
Okay.
I'd wrapped my leg around a goalpost in my teens, and I played at a high level of sport and thought, okay, I'm done now, and my body is racked with pain, so I deserve to be in that lazy boy.
Oh.
When I found out that there was a way to get rid of my pain, it renewed my life, literally. Yes, I'm 60, but I feel 30.
Gosh, that's really amazing. Well, you don't look 60. I'm so glad to have had the chance to talk with you today and find out what keeps you so passionate and engaged about the work that you do. It's been a great pleasure talking with you.
Thanks so much. And there's a tip on wrinkles. Like I put the iron on just a little, like a low steam in the morning, and I just and it's just, a lot of people think it's skincare products, but no, it's a Rendawa iron.
I would say people need to check with their doctor before doing that, don't you?
Always.
Always.
Yeah, always
Wonderful.
check in
Great.
first.
Thanks for visiting with us today, Ross.
Thanks so much, Kris. It's a pleasure.
Okay.